Today's conversation, I have to have a giggle as I start. I have very little battery on my phone. I have not good lighting because it's just very bright right now. It is baking hot but windy at the same time. So I've got the noise of the wind and the noise of the fan behind me, but this felt like the moment, the imperfect moment to sit down with you and have a heart-to-heart. And it's often from the imperfection that something very beautiful and meaningful can occur. And that's what today's conversation is. It's about twin flames, and there's a depth and a richness and a beauty to those relationships that you may not know about. I want to talk about 3 ways in which you can prime yourself to enter into the twin flame relationship. Where? What state of being? So it's not where, like, is it a dating site? It's where is the state of consciousness? How do you access that state of consciousness that twin flame relationships take place in? Because they don't take place in the false matrix. And then I want to end today's conversation talking about how do you know? How do you know whether or not the relationship that you're in is in fact a twin flame? I got to be honest, I don't love the word twin flame. I talk about my husband as my divine partner or my divine union or a sacred union, but twin flame is just a bit overdone. It's become a little bit used and abused and mistreated, but predominantly it's very misunderstood. See, I understood many years ago, and I have the same understanding today, that your twin flame is an embodiment of your own soul. So it's somebody with whom you share a soul consciousness. Others would call that a monad. So I'm talking about the collective soul. This monadic structure, when you experience another self from the monad or the oversoul, you are experiencing a twin flame. And these relationships are very profound, but you've got to be in a certain alignment in order to access them. You cannot access these heightened connections from the false matrix. So that's the first question. Where do these relationships take place? In the divine matrix, when you've accessed the divine self. They do not take place in, cannot be maintained in, and a meeting cannot even happen when you're still ensnared in the false matrix. And what's that about? That's about ego. That's about confusion and disconnection and suppression and resistance and disassociation. It's a misery program. The false matrix is a misery program. So when you look at the world and you say, man, there's a lot of miserable people right now, what they're doing is they're showing you, because they are the living proof of pain and misery that we all once occupied in at varying levels to varying degrees. We've got individual humans right now gravitating towards the true matrix. Some people call that New Earth. The true matrix, the organic template, the organic matrix, all of these places, the divine matrix, all of these places are exactly the same. It's just different terminologies to describe that which is the pure original creation template. There's a lovely playlist on my channel which is called, let me see if I can remember, it's called Understanding Darkness and the False Matrix. Go and watch that playlist because it's going to give you some nice background. So we understand that twin flame relationships not available in the false matrix. We understand you've got to be in connection to the divine self. Not just connection, embodiment. That's a whole other level. That's an integration of the connection. That's what embodiment is. When you're at that level, you're not just in the divine self. The divine self will navigate you to the divine matrix. And of course, that's not another room or another planet. It's where you are in heightened consciousness. So you can share a room. You can be in exact proximity with somebody in the false matrix and you in the true matrix, and you're in the same place, but not really. Which, by the way, is why a lot of people are not able to relate to each other, because their frequencies are not able to connect. I remember 15 years ago, thereabouts, I had a friend who said, Kerry, I met my twin flame. Oh my gosh. I said, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. It's amazing. I was so thrilled because I understood then what I understand now. These relationships, when you enter into them, man, they catapult you forward. This is a healing journey, and it's going to elevate you. There is just no two ways about it, because it's not the relationship that elevates you. It's that in order to access the relationship, you must be elevated. So when he told me twin flame, I was so excited and so shocked when a couple of weeks later they'd broken up. But it was okay, because a few weeks after that, yeah, you've guessed the story already, a few weeks after that, he found another twin flame. I mean, what are the chances, And he went through this string of relationships, and every single one of them, he said, well, this is my twin flame. No, this is my twin flame. I kept thinking, are you blowing out the candle and relighting it? I mean, how many flames do you actually have? Because the truth is, your monad does have numerous bodies, which means you do have more than one twin flame. However, once you've connected to one twin flame, you're done. You don't need to connect to another one. And I'm going to talk more about that at the end. How do you know you're there? How do you know you're in that twin flame relationship? 3 ways. Remember, I said to you, there's 3 ways that I want you to prepare yourself to enter, or to prime yourself to enter these kinds of relationships. But before we get there, I think it goes without saying that the false matrix, man, that was based on appearances, wasn't it? That was the Hollywood style, and it did a number on humanity. The Hollywood style relationship, which was a system of status. The better I look, the more loved I'm going to be. That's really what the equation was. And if you asked anybody, what are you looking for in a partner? They would generally rattle off to you a list of attributes. This is the body type. This is the eye color. This is the hair color. So, and then those people would say, well, the reason is because there's got to be an attraction. There's got to be some kind of physical attraction. That physical attraction is absolutely going to be there tenfold when the emotional, spiritual attraction is in place. So there's a lot of unlearning. There's a lot of unplugging that will be taking place as you navigate the journey to the true matrix. And on that note, think about this. How can you navigate a successful relationship with any other human being when you don't have a successful relationship with yourself? When you don't have a successful relationship or a harmonious relationship with yourself, by default, all of your other relationships are going to mirror that pain to you. So even if you met a twin flame, which I've got to tell you does not happen when you're not in the correct alignment. But even if you did meet, let's be very hypothetical here and say, okay, let's say that you met a twin flame, but you were in the false matrix and in the ego and very entangled there. This would be, for all intents and purposes, the perfect person for you. But if you're not elevated to the level where you can interact with that kind of relationship, you're going to sabotage that relationship. You're going to mess up and regret it later, of course, but this is exactly what will occur. And this is why the false matrix so often presented relationships that appeared to be the real deal, appeared to be the real thing. Partly because of status, Look at me, I'm accepted by another person. And why was that important? Because in the false matrix, you didn't have your own self-acceptance. So the acceptance of another became a measure of approval, became a measure of status. When you're accessing the divine matrix, do you know what happens to you? You begin to love at a deeper level equally. You feel everything at a deeper level. So this is like emotions on steroids. So whether it's peace or fear or love or harmony or rejection or whatever it is, you're feeling things, because the true matrix is all about connection. So that stands to reason, right? You're going to feel in totality now. Whereas the false matrix was in disconnection. So you only experienced snippets of emotions or an emotion such as sadness, but you kept going to the same bandwidth of sadness, the same frequency of sadness. Whereas sadness and every emotion has an entire range of experience. Nonetheless, you're experiencing everything deeper. So when you experience these deeper levels of love that are now coming into your peripheral, they're even coming closer than your peripheral. In many instances, these relationships are coming right into your reality, and you're loving in a mind-blowing way, in a way that tells you, what? I didn't know love could be this good, this real, it's so healing, and this is a godly, divine, miraculous experience. Therefore, the conclusion is drawn, it's because of the other person. It's because I've met my twin flame. See? The projection is because I can feel at a deeper level of love. I'm going to say, instead of it's because my consciousness is raising, I'm going to say it's because of my twin flame. So you see how that sets you up for codependence. You see how disempowering that is. You see how we are primed to reject our success, primed to reject our triumph. So when you do experience deeper levels of love, this is a side effect of you connecting to the true matrix. It's a beautiful side effect, but it does not mean that every relationship that is just unexplained in terms of how deep the connection is, words won't even come close to defining what you're experiencing because of you, not because of the other person. And when you're in a true twin flame relationship, you know that. And the other person knows that too, because you both see each other from the perspective of the divine self. So the partner's divine self is fully active. Your divine self, fully active, fully present in the body. If one person is unconscious, as in not in their divine manifestation or the divine embodiment of the true self, so if one person's not quite there, then you're not in a twin flame relationship. This can become, at a later stage, this can become a twin flame relationship. But if that's where you are right now, then you're in a relationship, which is beautiful. All relationships can evolve, and they're either going to surprise you, because from the false matrix, you kept relating your ego to theirs, their ego to yours. When you discover someone you've always known for the truth of who they are, you can fall in love all over again. Because now it's like, oh, that's who you are without the ego. This can open the door for a very beautiful experience. So don't think you know exactly who your twin flame is, because you don't. It could be someone you know, and equally you could evolve into the divine self, and then that evolves you right out of the relationship. So there's no hard and fast rules. 3 ways. 3 ways for you to prepare yourself. I want to share with you, talking about number 1, I want to share with you my childhood. I released a video called My Story. And in my story, I shared a lot about my mom. I shared a lot about how I got to the levels of consciousness that I do, how I got to access those. But I said to you in that video, I'm going to talk more about my dad in the twin flame video, which is right here, right now. Because my relationship to my dad was amazing for the first 7 years. It was, little girl's fantasy. He was my hero. He was my everything. I was his blue-eyed girl. It was just love and beauty. I look at my husband now with our little girl, who's also 7. And man, it's beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. She looks at him and her eyes sparkle, and he looks at her and his eyes sparkle. It's almost this beautiful romantic love in the very pure sense, in this fairy tale-like love. Now, in my case, at 7, my dad's alcoholism became very full-blown. He and my mom were in, I want to say, a lot of fights, but that would be a ridiculous understatement. This was a war zone. This was like living in the most unsafe, unpredictable, very aggressive environment. And suddenly the splendor of the early childhood love that I had was just gone. And there was a lot, there was a lot that I experienced from jealousy, because there were a lot of people extremely jealous of my relationship with my dad. And what they did was they would punish me now, especially when my dad left. Because my dad left us. And when he left us, he left me to fend for myself, because I was the one that others were jealous of because of our relationship, mine and my dad's. So I felt very left to the wolves, so to speak. It was a very scary time in my life and a very unsafe time in my life. And it taught me that love is not safe. That was the bottom line. It taught me, wow, when you have this beautiful love, other people are going to punish you. Number 1, it's going to garner unwarranted attention. And number 2, it's going to leave. That's what I learned. Now, my dad passed away in 2012, and the moment my dad passed, a literal miracle occurred. Every strand, every string, every piece of our relationship that existed in the false matrix melted and dissolved instantaneously. I didn't set out to say, well, I really want to forgive my dad. I really want to get over the feelings of confusion and even contempt mixed with love. I didn't even have the thought to do that. It came upon me literally in, I can't even say a second, it was like a millisecond. And within that millisecond, there was just unconditional forgiveness, compassion, and love. And I recognized, Dad, you set me up for love. That's what he did. The first 7 years is where a child imprints from the father how they interact in physical relationships and external relationships. Because the father is all about how you show up physically in the world. Your car, your finances, your relationship to your physical body and others. It's everything in the world. Your mom and your connection to your mom is everything in the inner world. So it's intimacy, spirituality, energy, it's self-esteem. That's all the relationship to the mom. But nonetheless, I realized, man, my dad primed me. Pain and suffering, but my dad primed me to be loved in the most pure, most innocent, non-corruptible way. That's step number one. Prime yourself to be loved. Because many of you would not have received the gift of that level of love in your childhood. If you did, go get grateful for it. If you didn't, go love the you that is from the age of infancy to 7. Go love that you. And I do not mean when I say this, go sit with a box of tissues, go do inner child healing. You can if you want to. There's a meditation on my website called Inner Child Healing, so you can do that if you want to, but that's not what this is about. This is about just love. Just go and love the inner being that is you. It's as simple and as beautiful as that. Whether you remember that you or not is irrelevant, because that you is a part of you today. It lives inside of you. So even if you've got to imagine yourself sitting on a swing with you as a kid, just loving you. Imagine yourself sitting on your bed while you're sleeping as a child, just loving you. You can do this. You can set yourself up and prime yourself and become the example of love that you needed in your childhood. The second thing, how do you prime yourself? This is really beautiful. Ask yourself, where did love lead? Because like I shared with you in the story of my dad, where did that lead me? It led me to reject love. It led me to say love is dangerous. It led me to say, I don't want any part of this, thank you. So it led me to pursue exactly the person that would hurt me. It led me to pursue exactly the wrong type. And the most amazing thing happened to me in a relationship. In fact, it was the relationship before I met my husband. I was crying over this man. Oh, what a con artist, and what a terrible, terrible person to have been involved with at any level. But he said something so amazing to me. He said to me, you know what your problem is, Kerry? Your problem is that your type, the person that you call your, because we all do this, right? We say, this is my type, that's my type. Your type is the type that hurts you. Revelation, he was so right, because he was my type. And that's what my type had been. It was people to use and abuse and hurt and reject. Really abusive relationships, really destructive relationships of betrayal. Wow. So now I clarified something. But all of this was me learning where love had led me. And I want you to do that. That's step number 2. Look at where did love lead? And maybe it's where did the desire for love lead you? Or where did the lack of love lead you? That's self-reflection. Now, please note, this is not for analytical purposes, because I'm not a fan ever on any day of analysis. So in my Plasma Light Tribe, my online community, this is the level that we work on. We work where I'm asking you to work, which is energetically. Work energetically so that you connect to the feelings. This is what it felt like when love led me here, or the lack of love led me, or the desire for love led me. So feel what's applicable to you and go there energetically to connect with it. And of course, there's processes in the connection to support the discharge. And I know not everybody is going to want to join the online community. For those that do, I will leave the link in the video description box below. For those who want to work on their own, I'm giving you the tools. Step number 3. Step number 3 is the most important one. Connect to yourself. And it's the one that everyone thinks they understand and that so few people can do, because the easiest is often the most confounding. The simplest is often the hardest. This is how we do life. We do life wired for complexity. And the moment we hear something like feel your feelings, which seems like a very simple thing, connect to yourself, seems like this is a no-brainer. But this is the real point of mastery. Practiced in the online community, practiced in any of the meditations that you're going to find on my website, or practiced with yourself in the sanctity of your own silent presence. Doesn't matter how you do this, but that's point number 3. And it's the primary and most important point. Before meeting Bryant, my husband, before meeting him, I can't say to you I'd sworn off men, because that sounds like a hurt, and that sounds like, a closing down and a pushing away. It wasn't that. I'd sworn off external relationships to be in the thrilling union and commitment and devotion to myself. Oh, it was beautiful. I've never been happier in a relationship than that one with myself, until I surrendered to the twin flame relationship or the divine union that Bryant is. And I do say surrender because I had to. I had so much to let go of. So as much as I had point number 1 primed for love, I had so much to let go of that I had to surrender into love, to risk knowing whether or not it was safe to be loved at that level. Because when you're loved at that level, you will rise. And you will be powerful. And you will be seen. And you will be visible. And you will be unsafe. Because isn't that what we think unsafe is? Being visible, putting yourself up for hurt. We have some very backwards ideas about what unsafe is, but nonetheless, it meant I couldn't play small. That's really the bottom line. It meant I had to rise in order to meet myself at that level of love, in order to meet him at that level of love. So surrender was very, very necessary for me. Now remember, I said to you that I wanted to share this one thing that you can use to determine whether or not you are in a twin flame relationship. It's not the bubbles in your stomach. It's not the giddiness and the dizziness and the oh my goshness and the wowness. That's not what a twin flame relationship is. Because actually, twin flame, when you connect at that level, it's as if you've always been together. There's a still silent peace. You think there's going to be fireworks, but there is just a homecoming. There is just this beautiful homecoming that fills you up with everything you ever wanted, and you know that it doesn't come from outside of you. You know that this is you really coming into your wholeness, because that's what the divine matrix is all about. It's about connection. Therefore, it's your wholeness, and it's connection, and it's the most beautiful thing. It's you connecting to you, your partner connecting to themselves, connecting to each other in the totality, which makes a divine union exponentially bigger than the two individuals could ever be. So back to the question, how do you know whether you're in a twin flame relationship? It's really simple. How much ease is there? So many people call twin flame relationships relationships that are not twin flames. They say things like, well, I can't be with my twin because she's not ready. We can't be together because we're too powerful. There's crazy ideas that really describe false matrix relationships. A twin flame relationship, it's smooth and it's easy. It's not to say it's not challenging. You'll be challenged to grow, absolutely. But it's not wrought with the pain and the heartbreak that so many people talk about. So many people say, me and my twin flame, we can't be together. Okay, then that's not a twin flame. There is no reason, otherwise you will not meet your twin flame. There's no reason why you cannot be together. When you are primed and ready to enter the twin flame relationship, everything aligns itself. There's no struggle in the true matrix. There's struggle in the false matrix. There's no deprivation in the true matrix. It's in the false matrix. There's no, oh, love is within reach, but not quite. There's none of that. It's just ease. It's beauty. It's just synchronicity everywhere. That's the twin flame relationship. And why am I sharing this with you? Because I want you to have hope. I want you to know that you were meant to be loved, that you're here for love, that you were never ever supposed to be separate from love, that love is your destiny because it is who you are in your essence, and it can only reflect back to you. The more you do those 3 steps, knowing that the third of those 3 steps is the number 1 step. The more you master that step, the more you prime yourself to re-engage with the love that you are and to live in love, because this is just nature. Nature is connection. And once you are connected to your nature more fully and more freely, then you will connect to others in exactly the same way. So it's not to say you're doing something wrong, because very often being in your own so-called loneliness is exactly where you need to be in order to connect to yourself. That's point number 3. So I want you to love yourself, knowing that this is not just about hope. This is about, it's inevitable. Love is an inevitability for you. More than a hope, it's an inevitability. I'm going to leave a video for you just over there. That's the video I did about false matrix relationships. You can go ahead and watch that. Please do like this video. It would mean a lot to me, and chat to me in the comment section. Lots of love. Bye bye for now.